Understanding limnology. Every life on earth survives due to water and food. If we look at the amounts of water on the earth, freshwater lakes constitute about 125 cubic kilometers, which is equivalent to 0.009% of the total water in the hydrosphere. The saline lakes and inland seas constitute about 104 cubic kilometers, which is equivalent to 0.008% in the hydrosphere. Several scientific disciplines emerged in water-related subjects during the last century. Hydrology, hydrogeology, hydrobiology, hydrochemistry, glaciology, oceanography, and limnology, to name a few. Limnology is the scientific study of inland waters, both fresh and saline. It includes the physical, chemical, and biological study of lakes, ponds, rivers, and inland seas. The term limnology was derived from the Greek word limnos, meaning pool, lake, or swamp. It is an interdisciplinary study of geology, physics, chemistry, and biology of inland water bodies. François-Alphonse Forel, who studied the Lake Geneva in 1901, recognized the field of limnology, an interdisciplinary science of lakes. Limnology deals with a detailed analysis of inland water bodies and their physical structure, water cycle, chemical structure, biological structure, nutrient cycling and materials budget, pollution and degradation. The physical structure of a lake deals with basin morphometry, water cycle and hydrodynamics, turbidity and light penetration, thermal stratification, and deposition of sediments. The morphometry of a lake includes the basin's topography, bathymetry, area of water spread, and shoreline configuration. The following are the morphometric parameters: mean depth, volume, maximum length, maximum mean width, and length of shoreline. Every lake in the world is characterized by its basin, which is the actual depression holding the water. The maximum depth Z, volume of lake V, the surface area A, all of which determine the dimension of lakes. The notable largest lakes in the world are Lake Superior, North America, area 83,300 square kilometers, volume 12,000 cubic kilometers, depth 307 meters. Caspian Sea, USSR, area 4,36,400 square kilometers, volume 79,319 cubic kilometers, depth 946 meters. Lake Victoria, East Africa, area 68,800 square kilometers, volume 2,700 cubic kilometers, depth 79 meters. Lake Baikal, Siberia, area 31,500 square kilometers, volume 23,000 cubic kilometers, depth 1,741 meters. Lake Tanganyika, East Africa, area 34,000 square kilometers, volume 18,940 cubic kilometers, depth 1,470 meters. The water spread area may range from a few square kilometers to several thousand square kilometers. Similarly, the depth of a lake may range from a few meters to a kilometer. The term bathymetry refers to the depth of water and its distribution over space. The shoreline of a lake often gets modified depending upon the change in volume of water in the basin. The topography of a lake bottom depends on the origin of a lake. The longitudinal profile of a lake basin may have gentle to steep slope depending upon the nature of elongation. The transverse profile depends on the width of a lake. Considering the structure of a lake basin, various depth zones are recognized. The zone adjacent to the shoreline, which is always under the influence of waves and spray, is known as the littoral zone. The zone which is in the middle of a lake, located away from the shoreline, is known as pelagic zone. The zone of deep lake water bottom is known as benthic zone. Due to the unusual relationship between water's temperature and its density, lakes form layers called thermoclines. These are layers of drastically varying temperature relative to depth. A lake moderates the surrounding region's temperature and climate because water has a very high specific heat capacity. In the daytime, a lake can cool the land beside it with local winds resulting in a cool breeze. The water balance of a lake depends on various factors like the seasonal inflow of water from the watershed, outflow of water from the lake, change in volume of water in storage, loss due to evaporation and biotic life, and rate of sedimentation and pollution. All these factors control the hydraulic retention time of water within a lake. This is an important parameter in lake pollution studies and for calculating nutrient dynamics. The physical structure of a lake is further influenced by the distribution of light, temperature, and wind mixing. The top portion of a lake is mixed by the wind and warmed by the sun. Because of the available light and warmer temperatures, many organisms live there. The bottom portion of a lake receives little or no light. The water is colder. It is not mixed by wind. There is a decay of dead organic matter. Decomposition prevails at lake bottoms. The absorption and attenuation of light by the water column are major factors controlling temperature and potential photosynthesis. Photosynthesis provides the food that supports much of the food web. Solar radiation is the major source of heat to the water column and is a major factor determining wind patterns in the lake basins and water movements. Limnologists classify the water body based on temperature distribution into three different layers. Epilimnion, denoting the uppermost layer of warm water. Metalimnion, denoting a distinct rate of change in temperature with depth. And hypolimnion, denoting no variation in temperature and is deeper. This classification is termed as thermal stratification. All aquatic ecosystems are controlled by the physico-chemical and biological properties of water. Limnologists analyze the following water quality parameters: temperature, color and odor, turbidity, depth of light penetration, inflow-outflow of water, water in storage. The chemistry of water is analyzed with reference to its major ions like calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, bicarbonate, carbonate, nitrate, and sulfate. Trace elements like iron, aluminium, nickel, cobalt, cadmium, zinc, strontium, mercury, chromium, copper, lead, and arsenic. Perhaps the first man to consider lakes as functional ecological systems was Stephen A. Forbes, who presented his studies on the lake as a microcosm in 1887. The temperature of a lake water influences the biological activity and growth, kinds of organisms that can live, chemistry of water, chemical reactions, and water balance computations. The temperature variation in lake water comes due to seasonal and daily variations of air temperature, inflow and outflow of water from catchments, and artificially induced thermal pollution. Limnology also deals with the role of nitrogen in water bodies, which exists in the form of ammonia, nitrate, nitrite, urea, and dissolved organic compounds. These are available to bacteria, fungi, and plants. The nitrogen cycle encompasses several processes for organic growth and environmental stabilization. The ultimate aim of studying limnology is to evaluate the distribution of plants, animals, fungi, and bacteria that give to an ecosystem. Organisms are classified based on their sources of energy and also sources of carbon. Phototrophs are those which derive energy directly from sunlight in photosynthesis. Chemotrophs are those which utilize a chemical energy source. Autotrophs are self-nourishing, life-utilizing inorganic carbon dioxide to produce organic matter. Heterotrophs depend on preformed organic carbon such as glucose or pyruvate. Temperature of lake water governs the kinds of organisms that can live in it. The rate of chemical reactions generally increases at higher temperature, which in turn affects biological activity. Limnology deals with the study of viruses, bacteria, fungi, and many green plants in lake waters. In addition, a good number of protozoans, rotifers, crustaceans, insects, worms and mollusks, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals live in an aquatic ecosystem. The benthic environment is further divided into two quite distinct habitats, the profundal zone and the littoral zone. The profundal zone is below the thermocline, where all the varieties of benthic organisms live for more than a year. Fish are often neglected by limnologists, despite their commercial value and ecological importance in the food web. Fish in such bodies are dominated by the bony fish such as perch, front, or minnows. Fisheries management and conservation are part of limnological analyses. The aging of a standing water body or a river experiencing choking leads to addition of more nutrients and excessive growth of blue-green algae. Eutrophication is the process by which lakes and streams are enriched by nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen. This leads to excessive plant growth, that is, algae in the open water, periphyton, that is, attached algae along the shoreline, and macrophytes, normally called as weeds, in the near shore zone. For all these limnological studies, the amount of water in storage and its seasonal replenishment, the rate of pollutant load, and siltation are essential. Human activity has greatly influenced the rate of eutrophication. Urban land construction activities and dumping of solid wastes result in increased discharge of soil debris into such water bodies to fill them. All life in an aquatic ecosystem depends on the availability of oxygen, which is needed for several chemical and biological reactions. Dissolved oxygen is an essential parameter in limnological studies. Oxygen is continuously consumed in respiration by both plants and animals and is produced by plant photosynthesis when there is sufficient light and nutrients. Similarly, carbon dioxide, which is a product of respiration by both plants and animals, provides the carbon for photosynthesis. Depletion of dissolved oxygen may cause massive death of living organisms, including fishes. Sedimentation is a continuous process in every lake. Washed out materials from soil erosion, urban and agricultural wastes may bring all sediments into lakes. These contribute for both suspended sediments and bed load sediments. Rooted aquatic plants include both the attached and free floating rooted plants. Aquatic plants are a natural and essential part of the lake, just as grasses, shrubs, and trees are essential for a land. Roots of plants hold the sediments in place, reduce erosion, and maintain bottom stability. They provide a habitat for fish and other organisms. Lakes vary in their dimension. Some are large and deep. Some are small and shallow. Large and deep lakes have limited aquatic plants, while small and shallow lakes have an abundance of plants. A lake's watershed is the land surrounding the lake across which water drains to reach the lake. There are about 304 million standing water bodies worldwide. About 91% of them are less than 1 hectare in area. Majority of lakes on earth are freshwater, and most of them are located in the northern hemisphere. More than 60% of the world's lakes are in Canada. Finland is known as the land of 1,000 lakes, as it contains 187,888 lakes, of which 60,000 are large ones. The state of Minnesota in the United States is known as the land of 10,000 lakes. Limnologists also do research on lake dynamics, ecological modeling, and on conservation aspects of lakes. It is an essential subject of study for all naturalists, environmentalists, and conservation biologists. Limnology is a unique science with universal applications.